Philadelphia. Saquon Barkley consulted with his family before the star running back decided, yes, it was time to leave his only professional home with the Giants and sign with the Eagles. His youngest daughter, Jada, had one question for Dad as he told her the family was headed to Philadelphia. Does this mean Dad will win now? As Barkley lay on a football field littered with confetti and cradled his daughter against his chest, the answer was undeniable. You bet Barkley and the Eagles are going to win now, with a chance at the biggest one of the season still ahead with a date in the Super Bowl. Barkley dashed 60 yards for a touchdown on Philadelphia's first play and finished with 118 yards and 3 scores. Jalen Hurts rushed for 3 TDs, and the Eagles soared into the Super Bowl with a 55-23 win over the Washington Commanders on Sunday. Hurts and the Eagles are in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 seasons, and this time Barkley is along for the ride. They will play former Eagles coach Andy Reid's Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 seasons. I came to Philly to be part of games like this, Barkley said, and there's nothing better than a game where you can advance to the Super Bowl. The 55 points are the most any team has scored in a conference championship game since the 1970 merger. Hurts, wearing a brace on his left knee, also threw for 246 yards and a touchdown pass, and the Eagles had a towel-waving crowd in a frenzy for the NFC Championship game at Lincoln Financial Field. I don't want anybody else leading this team at quarterback other than him. He's a winner, Coach Nick Sirianni said. Again, he deals with so much criticism which just blows my mind because of the questions I have to answer. I don't look too much into that. The questions I have to answer, it's just like, man, this guy wins. He's won his entire life. A.J. Brown caught 6 passes for 96 yards and a touchdown, and faked tossing the NFC Championship trophy off a platform, and an Eagles team at just 2-2 headed into the bye week scored a season high in points to usher the franchise into their 5th Super Bowl. The Commanders played a role in getting the NFC title game to Philly with 2 straight road wins, including last week's stunner at number 1 seed Detroit that set the stage for the second-seeded Eagles to host. Jayden Daniels threw for 255 yards with 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and fell short in his bid to become the first rookie quarterback to lead his team to the Super Bowl. The Commanders were doomed by 4 turnovers, including a lost fumble by Austin Eckler in the 3rd quarter, and the Commanders down 34-23. We believed that we belonged here, Daniels said. It was just another game for me. That's how I treated it. The Eagles won their only Super Bowl in the 2017 season, and Nick Foles, the QB in that game, against New England, was the honorary captain. The Eagles cut to other stars from that game, in attendance on the big screen, and now, 2 years after Eagles lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, the franchise has a chance at winning their second one. Much as he has all season, Barkley led the way for the Eagles. After the Commanders opened the game with an 18-play drive and a field goal that quieted a raucous crowd, Barkley whipped the fans that included actor Bradley Cooper into a frenzy on the Eagles' first offensive play from scrimmage. Only the 9th running back to rush for 2,000 yards in a season, Barkley took the pitch from Hurts and cut left, spun around a pair of defenders and took off on the touchdown run. The Eagles recovered a fumble on the next drive, and Barkley added a 4-yard run, making him 2 for 2 on carries and touchdowns for a 14-3 lead. Including the playoffs, Barkley extended an NFL record Sunday with his 7th rushing touchdown of 60-plus yards in a season. When he does it early, it doesn't really matter who gets the party started. Just for us to gain some momentum as an offense and gain a rhythm, we keep going, Hurts said. Daniels, who led the Commanders to 6 consecutive victories, made his share of big plays that included a 36-yard touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin that pulled them to 14-12. I had a lot of confidence in what we would do and how we would play, Commanders coach Dan Quinn said. Hurts, who hurt his knee when he was sacked last week by the Rams, had his best game yet in a postseason where the Eagles played all 3 games at home. He closed the first half with a tush-push 1-yard touchdown and threw a 4-yard scoring pass to Brown to send the Eagles into halftime with a 27-15 lead. I guess he let me out of my straitjacket a little bit today, Hurts said of Sirianni's offense. Hurts secured the Super Bowl berth with a tush-push touchdown in the 4th quarter, after a humorous moment when an official said he'd award the Eagles a touchdown if Washington didn't stop jumping offside. And his 9th career postseason rushing score gave them a 41-23 lead. Small amounts of green confetti started to fly from the upper deck. At that point, the countdown was officially on for the Super Bowl. The Commanders' desperate gasp at another late comeback win ended with a thud when Nolan Smith sacked Daniels on fourth down in the fourth quarter. Will Shipley gave Barkley a needed breather in the blowout and punched in a 2-yard touchdown run for a 55-23 lead. After a historic night at Lincoln Financial Field, the Eagles are NFC champions for the second time in 3 years. Philadelphia put up a conference championship game record 55 points on its way to a dominant 55-23 victory over the Commanders. Saquon Barkley rushed for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Jalen Hurts ran in 3 scores and threw for 1 in the win. The Eagles' defense and special teams came up huge again, forcing 3 fumbles and an interception by Quinyon Mitchell late in the fourth quarter. Here's what players and head coach Nick Sirianni had to say after the win. Head coach Nick Sirianni. Great organization that we have, starting with Chairman CEO, Mr. Jeffrey Lurie, Executive Vice President to General Manager, Howie Roseman. I don't think I've shied away from how much those guys mean to me. You can't be great without the greatness of others, and it starts with Mr. Lurie. Howie does a great job of getting guys in here and helping there. Just to have that solid GM that's been through everything is huge. Great partnership I have with him. And then it's about the people, really. To be honest with you, it's always about the people, and we've got some great people in this. Quarterback Jalen Hurts. I just think you have to give a ton of gratitude. These are my personal testimonies, and I know my personal perspective is not always a reflection of what is most important to the team and what we're trying to do as a team, because every team is different. So then clearly, as a team, the mission is to go. Take advantage of the opportunities we present ourselves with. But also, I have my history and the things that I've experienced that I can use as tools to help those around me and help myself. And so, a lot of this stuff is presented to us, and we all have that plateau to learn from all of our experiences. So there's been a sense of togetherness for us to all come together and try to achieve the ultimate team goal. And we've done a great job of that, to this point of being able to put ourselves in this position. Running back, Saquon Barkley. That's why I came here. It was one of the first conversations I had with Howie. That's one of the conversations I had with my family. Like I said last week, I came to Philadelphia to be a part of games like this. Nothing better than a game where you can advance to the Super Bowl, so super excited about that. It was a team effort, and want to give a shout out to all the guys on our team. A lethal offensive performance and a defense and special teams that had a combined 4 takeaways led the way for the Eagles on Sunday in a 55-23 win over Washington in the NFC Championship game, sending Philadelphia to Super Bowl LIX in New Orleans on February 9th against the winner of Sunday night's AFC Championship game between Buffalo and Kansas City. The Eagles, in their third meeting with Washington in the 2024 season, put together a great performance that demonstrated everything about a team that started the season 2-2 and has since reeled off 15 wins in 16 games. On Championship Sunday, the Eagles played a complete game in dismantling Washington. Here are some observations from the team's second NFC Championship in 3 seasons and third in 8 seasons. After Washington used 18 plays and more than 7 minutes off the clock on the first possession to jump out to a 3-0 lead, the Eagles struck quickly. Will Shipley returned the ensuing kickoff 35 yards to the 40-yard line, and then, boom, it was Saquon Barkley time. He took a pitch from quarterback Jalen Hurts on the left side as left tackle Jordan Mailata and left guard Tyler Steen, more on that below, crushed the line of scrimmage. Tight end Grant Calcaterra had a key block outside, and then it was all Barkley in the open field. He spun free of 2 defenders, safeties Jeremy Chin and Quan Martin at the Washington 45-yard line, then cut toward the middle of the field into the open, and he was gone. A 60-yard touchdown run to get it rolling for the offense. It was a good tone setter. We knew they were going to sell out to stop the run. We kind of knew that. And then he breaks 2 or 3 tackles to start. We get a great block from A.J. Brown to get around the edge. And then great block by Dallas Goedert to set it off. Head coach Nick Sirianni said, "Special performance, special player, special job by the entire group." Then, after the defense recovered a Washington fumble at the Commanders' 48-yard line, Hurts and Barkley went to work again. Hurts completed a 10-yard pass to tight end Dallas Goedert. then connected with wide receiver Devonta Smith for 20 yards to the 18-yard line. Great tippy-toe catch from Smith on the sideline went to wide receiver A.J. Brown on the right side for an 11-yard gain to the 4-yard line, and then Barkley took a handoff, saw the middle was blocked, bounced right, and raced to the corner of the end zone for his second score and, after Jake Elliott's pat, put the Eagles ahead 14-3. Philadelphia scored 27 points in the first half, rang up 15 first downs, and 233 total net yards of offense. Hurts made big plays when he saw Washington covering Smith and Brown in man-to-man looks, and he kept the offense on schedule. Good variety, good execution from an offense that dictated to Washington in those opening 2 quarters. Well, I've told you guys, this is not a matter that we can't. It's just a matter of if we do. It all comes down to how we execute. Comes down to our approach and everyone being on the same page and playing with good rhythm, and ultimately finding a way to win. I think the beautiful thing about this sport, about this team, and for me, from my vantage point, is how we've been able to evolve over the years since I've been here, finding ways to win in multiple ways, Hurts said. It's a great help when you have a defense like that turning the ball over, playing hard, playing ferocious, and flying to the ball. We just need to find it in us to muscle out one more. For most teams, having a starting center, a Pro Bowl player at that, in limbo right up until game time would be a real challenge. But not so much for the Eagles. Cam Jurgens, bothered by a back injury all week and limited in practice, was listed as questionable to play against Washington. The Eagles practiced all week with Landon Dickerson moving from left guard to center, with Tyler Steen taking over at left guard. Dickerson, a standout center in college at Alabama, was on point for the entire first half at center, and as great as he is at guard, Dickerson is a 3-time Pro Bowl games electee. He showed what an incredible football player he is by playing so well at center until he suffered a knee injury and left after the first half. Jurgens, who was active and on the sidelines in the first half, stepped in and played center in the second half and played extremely well as the Eagles' offense continued to function at a high level. That was huge. Cam's a warrior for that, because I know Cam, he was definitely battling through that injury for a while. Having to step in when someone has an injury, he was already nowhere 100%, so that's huge. Just having that toughness to go out there and finish the game, Steen said. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio gave quarterback Jayden Daniels a lot of different looks and coverage, and he mixed in a blitz here and there. But for the most part, the Eagles played Daniels with a crush rush. They stayed disciplined in their lanes and worked to win one-on-one battles. When you're playing a quarterback like Daniels and an offense like Washington has, you're going to give up some yards and some plays and some points. The Eagles sacked Daniels 3 times. Oren Burks, a really important one in the third quarter from Jordan Davis, and one late on 4th down by Nolan Smith. They limited Daniels and his running game. He had a long gain of 19 yards, but was bottled up for most of the game and kept everything in front of them.